It's not every day you hear of someone studying abroad on the other side of the globe, let alone during their first semester of college. While I had always dreamed of studying abroad, I had assumed it would be later down the line. However, this all changed when I got accepted into Northeastern's NUin program. For nearly a decade, I'd gone to the same school with the same 80 kids, which made leaving the comfort of my high school in my hometown both incredibly exciting and nerve-wracking. When my family dropped me off at the airport, it felt surreal to know the only thing separating me from this brand new life was a 22-hour plane ride. Prior to arriving in Sydney, I knew little about Australian culture, aside from the dangerous wildlife, the Hemsworth brothers, and Steve Irwin. I had no idea about the vast diversity of Sydney, the people, landscapes, and of course, the food. While in my head Australia was the land of Caucasian Aussies and kangaroos, I was happily surprised to see people of all cultures and backgrounds in the classroom with me at University of Sydney. I had always assumed Australian culture was virtually the same as American culture, however I quickly found this to be incorrect. I was not only immersed in Australian culture by virtue of my location, but also through my classes at USyd. My first class I attended as a college student, Sport and Learning in Australian Culture, greatly opened my eyes to the importance of sport in the Australian national narrative, while my sociology class greater informed me of the historical maltreatment and racial disparities of Australia's Indigenous people. I found learning about Australian history incredibly refreshing and new, and made me realize just how limited my knowledge of the world is outside of the American narrative. While I consider myself privileged to have been born and raised in the United States, moving to Australia has made me want to be a more aware global citizen. Students at University of Sydney are constantly advocating for social justice movements within and outside of Australia, some of which I have found myself completely oblivious to. I was happy to see signs of Sydney's support of the LGBTQ+ community everywhere, plastered on telephone poles, bathroom stalls, sidewalks, and more. In addition to learning about the Australian social hierarchy in my sociology and global experience class taught by members of our Northeastern staff, I was able to further my knowledge by volunteering with Sydney's program Little Hands. Little Hands offers occupational therapy to young children in lower socioeconomic areas who need extra practice with their fine motor skills. Through working alongside 30 Australian kindergartners, I've learned a lot about what it's like to grow up in Australia and compare it to my own American upbringing, as well as the importance of proper technique when holding a pencil or a pair of scissors. My semester in Sydney granted me plenty of opportunities to travel, both within Australia and New Zealand. Northeastern took us on excursions to the Blue Mountains, Featherdale Wildlife Park, and a weekend up to Melbourne to visit the other NUin group. My friends and I also independently planned weekend trips to Cairns, the Gold Coast, and a fall break trip to Queenstown, New Zealand. Throughout my semester in Sydney and my travels, I was able to check countless things off my bucket list, including seeing the Sydney Opera House in Harbour Ridge, feeding a kangaroo, snorkeling the Great Barrier Reef, hiking Bob's Peak, touring Milford Sound, concrete lugeing, skydiving, and bungee jumping. I was able to experience places I thought I'd only ever see on Pinterest and do things I'd never imagined possible with incredible people alongside me. Whether you spend a weekend abroad or a semester, immersing yourself in other cultures is such an incredible way to learn, and I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to do so early in my academic career, thanks to Northeastern.